Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 31st, 2021 at approximately 9:39 a.m. PST. Well, we've been talking about getting things moving forward. And at try that again. The backbone of society is family. Okay. Now, family may not be your bloodline. Lord knows many bloodline families end up separated for one reason or another, just like other families, just like chosen families, where the people they get pulled apart simply because of circumstance, because of misunderstanding, and because of complications that happen when you're close to somebody. Now, the trick is this. When I take a look at things, I've always said the energy starts in the upper levels, comes down to the emotional center where you get an emotional attachment to something. Once you get that emotional attachment, then it goes back up into the intellectual attachment where you start planning on how to attain it. Then it comes to the physical world. Now, many times what happens is somebody will get a thought about something, it'll get in, gee, I think I'd really like that, or I'd like to experience that. Problem is, without that emotional connection, it doesn't go very far here. You may even going just thinking about, I'd like to do that. Okay, or I'd like to go down this venue of education or work. Yeah, you get this idea. Gee, let's see if I can enjoy it. Now here's the thing. As parents, we encourage our kids or our friends for that matter, as peers, we encourage our friends to try something they haven't tried. What we're doing is not going, give this an try an intellectual effort. What we're actually doing is saying, give this the intellectual effort to experience it, see if an emotional connection can happen. When the emotional connection happens, it brings it back up into the intellectual side, and now you start doing the real serious hard planning for it. Okay. Sometimes you'll get an emotional draw to something. Okay, and you'll start building on it, and then you realize it's such a huge project that you go, I just don't have the ability to do that. And all of a sudden that emotional draw starts to fade a little. You'll find this happens in relationships a lot as well. They start off really, really good. Okay. And we'll come back to that because it's where that crossover between which comes first, the emotional connection or the intellectual. Well, which comes first isn't the relevant point. The relevant point is when does that emotional connection happen? Because until both of them are in sync, you're not going to have as effective a run at it. So where it comes to, we'll start with the emotional connection first. Okay, when you get that emotional connection, okay, even if you've been separated from family for however long, at some point, things will wake up. Okay, at some point, you'll find that balance, and you'll find that intellectual way of doing it. Well, ironically for me, and I don't know if ironically is actually the right word, so one day I should really look up the definition for it, but for me, I had a falling out a long time ago with a family member. And the really sad part about it was that falling out, I found out years ago, that falling out happened because of something that was said that I took to heart that they didn't. Okay. Well, we got that cleared up a number of years ago, but I finally figured out where the real falling out has been. Okay. And that is something I hate admitting, but unfortunately, this is a reality. If I'm going to tell you I'm a spiritual guide and these are the tools I use, then it's only right that I turn around and put those tools to work. If I'm going to tell you they work, if they apply to me, then I should, by rights, be using them as well. Well, I had a falling out with a member of my family, like I said, based on something they said that didn't matter much to them. They didn't, because we were a lot younger. And it was years before we finally made the connection, right, where they turned around and quite literally, it's not that, well, I'm not going to go into the long side of it, but we came to an understanding. But it didn't do much to improve things until just recently. Okay, and the problem wasn't on their part, the problem was on mine. Okay, and sad to say, I didn't realize just exactly what the problem was until literally this morning. Okay, the problem is they made choices in their life. Now, some of the choices I didn't agree with, that's not the relevant issue. The relevant issue is they made choices in their life that resulted in them being very well off. Okay, now it wasn't a question of them having more money than me and therefore that was the problem. It was a question of they were doing something they enjoyed and they were actually really, and they were successful at it. Well, yesterday, and I think I mentioned this, but what I enjoy doing is my writing. Okay. And I just signed a contract to put 2 more books onto the shelf. They will be put onto Amazon and what have you early next year. I just signed the contract for it. And the difference in the feeling I have as far as being of a similar of we'll try English, of being of an equitable balance point where I am successful doing something that I'm content with. Okay, with that in mind, okay, that change has altered everything I'm looking at. Jealousy is a lousy emotion. It is absolutely destructive. Now, fortunately for me, it was just self-destructive, aside from the separation from the family. Okay, and unfortunately, that cost me a lot because I never did balance things out with mom and dad before they passed away. Okay, that said, I have every intention on balancing this one out. Okay, but now I finally understand what was holding me back and where the problem was. Talk about a slow learner. Okay, I've been telling people how to deal with things for literally decades. Well, for over, where are we here? For almost half a century. Okay, I started working with spiritual guidance for other people when I was 10. Okay, I'm now 58. So it ain't going to be that long before I hit that half century mark again as far as helping other people. But to look in the mirror and go, the problem has been jealousy, which is something I only tried once before. Okay, I experienced it years ago when I was first dating my first wife. Okay, didn't like it then, thought I'd thrown it out. What I didn't realize was there are all kinds of different forms of jealousy. Okay, by the way, this is a live recording, meaning when I get done the recording, I simply go back, check the date, make sure I got it right. And then I turn around and just post it as is with all the hiccups, all the stumbles. That's just the way I am. If you ever run into me personally, you'll find I do exactly the same thing. Okay, now this said, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel so you can get the rest of the information coming out. And please, when you hit the subscribe, remember to hit the alert button to let you know when the next video is coming up. It dawned on me it just dawned on me this morning when I got off the phone that I know absolutely that it was my own jealousy for their level of success. I've been fighting the poverty line, one step above it, my entire life. But realistically, whose fault was that? I've had jobs that paid really well. I didn't pay attention to the money, dug myself into a crater. Okay, I've spent my life putting my life on hold, making sure other people are taken care of, and totally ignoring my own desires. Okay, not totally, but they've always played a second seat. But when I told the family member about the fact I had just put these two books, they'll be coming out next year, next spring. It's already set in motion. So I suspect sometime before March it'll actually hit the books. I'll know that as soon as it happens. But I've got a bunch of videos or not videos, a bunch of emails I have to go through. But I will tell you, realizing what's holding you back has been jealousy. And it's your own doing. Jealousy is something you take on. It's not something I can make of you. I can be jealous of you. Somebody else can be jealous of you. But it's the individual that is feeling the jealousy that is choosing to take that on. Now, there's a fine line between jealousy and envy. Envy says, gee, I really wish I could do that. Then you go out, you find a way to do it. It doesn't hurt anybody, it doesn't deprive anybody of anything, except for theoretically you're adding competition if you're getting into the same field. I mean, let's face it, I'm starting to put books out. There's a lot of authors out there. And that makes it an extremely competitive industry. Okay, so yes, by putting a book out there, I'm cutting into somebody else's possibilities. But the reality is, that's a very small issue. Okay. If you're not able to deal with that kind of competition, okay, and remember, in any industry, in any creative outlet, there are a staggering number of people in it. It's very competitive. And as it was put to me when I started in the psychic field, the best psychic on the planet is useless if nobody can find them. Well, it goes to the same issue applies where it comes to writing. The best books in the world are absolutely useless if nobody knows they're there. Okay. And I will tell you, jealousy, when I was looking at it, okay, I've been looking at it going, he got ahead by doing things I didn't agree with. And he did, but he didn't do it. The reality is, he didn't do it in the dark. He didn't sneak into somebody's house and take things from them. Okay. So my jealousy really turns out, wasn't so much he was successful as I wasn't. Okay. And it's not I wasn't successful in anybody else's eyes. It's I wasn't successful in my eyes. And you may be running into the same problem. Take a look in the mirror and ask yourself one thing. Are you content with the way your life is? No matter what you're comparing it to, are you content? If the answer is no, talk to somebody that has walked down that road. Okay, and get their guidance on how they dealt with it, see if it applies to yours. Now I can tell you, where it comes to the tools I offer, they are ones that, if they apply to me, I put them to use. Which is why I'm going to shift gears here in my own life and get a few things out of the way. And that's why I keep the coffee around. Like I said, I'm not going to go back and edit out that cough. Sorry, throat gets dry. That's why you keep coffee around, so it doesn't. Anyway, if you're holding yourself back, and it's likely you are, okay, take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you content with the way your life is right now? If not, it's time to start altering the path you're on. It's time to start moving the things, altering the direction the energy is going, so that the things you're not content with get moved out of the way. It's a real wake-up call when it finally dawns on you. I was talking to somebody else today, and they said essentially the same thing. They finally realized they had gotten to a point where it was time to let the negative past go. And what happens is people get hung up on the negative past. You keep holding on to past items, okay, that are there, but they hold a physical attachment to you, okay. And this is something, yes, there are certain things you hang on to, and I encourage you, especially when a relationship comes to a close. Obviously, you got into the relationship. There had to be some good things there. So hang on to functional paraphernalia, if you'd like, that remind you of the good things. But things that can compromise, okay, the things that can compromise your past, okay, that can compromise your present, rather, if they are a physical attachment that is reminding you of something that is simply going to hold a wound open, it may be time to get rid of those physical items. Now, bear in mind, physical may not be something you can set on the counter. In today's world, physical can be digital. Okay. Physical, in my eyes, is simply something you can show to somebody else if you so choose. Okay. That's the critical factor. And it's because of that, because of this realization, that I've been holding on to things in my own heart, not a physical one in this case, but I was looking at the success of my own family, going, all of my family are very successful, okay, in their own ways. Okay, I have not been. But it's been my own doing, and this is something I did not click into until just this morning, when I told the one individual that I had reached this point of not just having one book on the market by sometime next year. Well, early next year, I'll get to the point where I can say, okay, run with the manuscripts. I'll be able to do that as it stands right now before Christmas. Okay, before Christmas of this year. Meaning, as soon as they've got that, because I work with Author House for my printing, for my mainstream publication. Okay, I still work in town, right? My local printer is a company called CS Printing, and I'm not dropping work with them. Okay, I'm just expanding to work with the other as well. So by the end of this year, we'll be looking at going into full printing, into full access. But it wasn't until I told this one family member that I had reached this point that I felt I now was on the right track to being successful in what I am happy doing. They're already successful in what they're happy doing. Okay, all of my family is. The problem that was holding me back, stupidly enough, and I do call it stupid because I know it. I knew better than that. But the stupid part was I was holding myself back. Now, if you're holding yourself back, if you're comparing yourself to other people and going, I'm not successful, I encourage you to look at that and realize all they've got on you is they've got a head start. I always looked at Colonel Sanders, okay, the guy that invented Kentucky Fried Chicken. My understanding is he didn't open his first chicken stand until he was 65. Okay, I've been saying this for years, and I've been sitting there twiddling my thumbs because I kept going, well, he was 65, so I got lots of room. Well, the reality is a massive heart attack and a rather annoying stroke later, and I'm sitting here going, yeah, he started at 65, but it really is time to get off my tail feathers and get the jump on things. In 5 years, who knows? I could be doing extremely well. Okay, but I'm not about to sit back any longer. And I encourage you to do the same thing today, because now is the only time you can do anything. And every single entity in existence is in the same position you are. However they got to where they are right here, right now. Okay, and working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. It is going to take effort on every individual's part, and you are personally the only entity in existence that can be successful for you. Now, you can talk about success all you'd like. Gee, I wish I had this great big house. I wish I had this, this, that, and the other thing. For me, it's real simple. Wishing is talking about something that you'd like dropped in your lap. Luck and I never did get along well. Heck, I went out and bought a full sheet of lottery tickets, a full unsealed sheet, okay, all together, okay, a few years back. And after I bought the sheet, we scratched all the tickets. Out of that entire sheet, I won $2. Okay. Now, that was when I quit even looking at lottery tickets. Okay. If you're looking for success, if you've reached a point where you're looking at your life going, I'm not entirely content. Okay. I'm not entirely content with my life the way it is. Take everything else you know and throw it out. Okay, take a look at the fact that you're not content and ask yourself one question. What about my life am I not content with? Start altering those things. If you're not content with the fact your dishes aren't done, get up and do them. Because you're the only one on the planet in existence that can be successful for you. Okay. Now, as I've said, one of the books that I'm in the process of writing is a book on attaining success, and I did a series just a little while ago where I covered it's literally there's 12 steps to it, but I broke one of them but I broke one section into 4. Okay, covering purpose, plan, persistence, and patience. Okay, they're tied into the journey, into this whole series, the journey. So go back and take a look at them. Okay, you'll find that they are really there's a lot of information that I go into a lot more detail, and yeah, absolutely, I repeat myself. Welcome to the way the world is. If you've got children, or if you're a teacher of any form, you'll find repetition is the way to make things happen. Well, what I found here, just like I said, just this morning, okay, I was talking to a family member and I told them about a breakthrough I made, and it was then that it dawned on me that, yeah, procrastination has been a pain in the neck for me. I got really, really good at it. Okay, but it hasn't got me very far. Okay, so I mean, from that standpoint, if you're sitting there looking at your life going, I'm not entirely content with the way my life is. I'm just not happy with it anymore. If you have reached that point where you're ready to change, it's time to start doing things. Now, I utilize this fine little thing called list. Okay, and I keep a list and check it off as I go along. And the reason for that is because it keeps me focused. I was over itemizing, okay, way too often. And realistically, it's the big things that you've got to keep an eye on, because the little ones will become natural. You just look at it going, well, how do I put this? When I was growing up, I was told this. If you move something, put it back. If you turn it on, when you're done, turn it off. Okay. If you break something, fix it. If you don't know how to fix it, tell somebody that does know how to fix it that you broke it. Do not hide from your responsibilities. Okay. And the most important thing you have to remember, and this applies to everybody, doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, the only thing in existence that you actually have that nobody can take away from you, it's not your bank account, it's not your money, it's your word. That's the only thing you have in that is yours in existence, is the word. Okay, whatever you utter, that's all you've got. People can coerce you into giving it away. They can coerce you into committing to something, but they cannot take your word from you. You have to give it. So, when you're talking to people, if you desire people to be honest with you, be honest with them. And I'm going to end up doing a video that's going to upset a lot of people, in all likelihood. I know I got told by one person, because I was not happy one day, and I got a comment from somebody that they found a lot of negative things about me, and there are a lot of negative things about me. I could list them up, but why bother? You'll come up with your own. Okay. Am I absolutely happy with the way I look at the world? Honestly, not really, but I haven't found a way to alter it yet. However, what I have found a way of doing is altering the way I look at me. And this issue of realizing that jealousy has been holding me back. Procrastination has certainly not helped, but procrastination doesn't hold you back, it just stops you from moving forward. Okay, so take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you completely content with the way that you feel? If the answer is yes, that is absolutely fantastic. If the answer is no, it's time to find a way to alter the direction your life is going in. Start with that here. Start with that by looking in your own eyes and going, what are you not content with? The things you're not content with, those are the ones you want to alter. Because the ones that you are content with, well, leave them there. Okay, what'll happen is you eliminate all the negative things, and all of a sudden, all you're left with is a world that is a person that you're happy with. And if you're happy with you, it will show up to other people. Once you figure that out, okay, then it is time to turn around and start altering the way that the environment around you is. And that really boils down to coming to terms with it and going, I'm not content with the layout of the house, or I'm not content with the state of the house, which is why you're noticing behind me on these shelves here that stuff is disappearing. And it's disappearing because of the fact that I'm finding things out about me, and I'm altering the physical environment around me, which is making it so much easier. I'm finding, and you may well discover this yourself, but don't just take my word for it. If your office is cluttered and you're feeling tired and a little lost, start by tidying the office up. Get things moved around so that everything is running smoothly. And when we talk about Feng Shui, which I did a video earlier on, okay, if you look for that video that has in the description Feng Shui, you'll understand what I was getting at there. But it boils down to get the energy running in your office, where you work on your finances, where you work on your planning. If you've got an art studio, get the thing tidied up so everything is organized properly. You'll find the creative process works a whole lot better when you don't have clutter. Don't take my word for it. If you haven't done it, do it and then assess it. I'd love to hear your comments below. Okay, and if you've got a question that you'd like to ask, whether it's personal, business, UFO, alien races, doesn't matter. Whatever the question, metaphysical, if you don't desire the rest of the world to know that you're asking about it, drop me a line in one of the contact points below this video, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. Who knows, I may end up doing a video on that particular topic. Okay, because if you got the question, the odds are somebody else out there does. Let's face it, we got about 7.5 billion people on this planet. There are no functionally unique situations. Even in my case, there's only a half a dozen people, as far as the doctors have told me, that have the same situation I've got. That's medically speaking. No, I'm not dying anytime soon. I already tried that. It didn't take very well. But what did take is I finally figured out where I'm standing. Now, on that note, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.